everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Diane Franklin, the star of a new indie short, Pareidolia, which is being screened at the Los Angeles International Film Festival from October 30th to November 5th. It is the first US screening of this film, which I think already came out in Britain. I'm going to talk to her right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. I'll spend a lot. Thank you. All right, so thanks so much for joining me today. I've got Diane Franklin, the star of the short film Pareidolia, which is being screened at the Los Angeles International Film Festival sometime between October 30th and November 5th. It's going to be the US debut. I believe it already came out in Britain, but this is going to be the US debut of it. It is a atmospheric short. It has some, really nice build-up, some interesting ideas, and a great performance by you. So I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited to figure out how you got involved in this, and thanks so much for joining me.
How it was posted to some strange places in the First Gulf War. He was part of a special task force looking after ancient antiquities, trying to stop both sides from blowing them up. And a trick he learned in the middle of the night with his mates was to shine a torch on an area where they thought they'd seen something. He'd click on, then off, on, and off.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. And this is a very special little film because I usually don't do shorts. I did a short called Falling Up, and it was a kind of a X-Files sort of a thing. And when I did the film, it was for a student. And so that was very special because I don't do shorts, but that particular moment when I did that film, I made an exception because this was a student that had come up to me during a meeting at a high school that I was speaking at, and he just was very driven. And then years later, he came and approached me and said, "Would you like to do this film?" So that was the first time I was introduced to shorts. And when I did that short, I won my first film award. Okay.
Oh.
It was at the Hollywood Independent Reel Film Festival. It just kind of was a wonderful experience. But in the meantime, I had been friends with this producer, and his name is Stuart Morris. And Stuart and I became friends maybe like 10 years ago. We had met through Facebook because he was in the UK, and he just was a lover of horror films. And I had done Amityville II, The Possession, which was one of his favorite films.
There's something strange. I think Mommy doesn't want to make love to Daddy anymore. I think he tries to force her. I heard her crying.
So he had me come out to England to do a screening of it with, I think, another film at a gallery that he calls the Misty Moon Gallery. And what it was it's a kind of a group of people, an organization where they love horror nostalgia, and they love the movies, the actors, and they just have a love of it. I can't explain it. It's just beautiful. So I got to know him, and I got to know the people who were involved in Misty Moon, and his wife Jen, and I really, really liked them. And we just sort of kept this relationship going. And after a while, he came to me and he said, "I would like you to come to England, and I'd like you to be in this short film." And I said, "I don't do short films." Okay, wait, I did a short film. And you know what? That short film won an award. And I thought, send me the script. So he sent me the script, and I loved the concept. It's called Pareidolia because the idea is a woman, my character, is someone who is haunted by something. If those of you who don't know Pareidolia, it's like when you look at a cloud and you see a face in the cloud, or some kind of photo, like drawing or something, or like you just sort of see, or pattern in like a rug or blanket or something. And so from that, I really thought that was such an intriguing idea. And that is why I agreed to do it, because the script was excellent.
That is awesome. Yeah, and I agree. Like there's always been like horror movies with like shadowy figures, but this like idea that we all kind of can relate to, where you're like you said, you see something, a face in a tree, or you see something that makes you kind of like do a double take because you think you saw something else.
And you feel silly because it's so real. I mean, it's like, if you see like a knot in wood or something, or a picture in some kind of, wooden thing, or you think, that I see that every day. Why is it that would bother me? But after you see this film, you will take that very seriously. Did you get to see the film?
I did, yes, I did.
And I think it's what also I'm not going to give anything away, but I really like the fact that they actually reward you at the end. And I think that it's important to, when you watch a horror film, to really get that. something special.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
that is why I did the film. I really love the writing. Aiden Truss wrote it. His son Aaron directed it, and Aiden did a beautiful job. I was very impressed. So that is why I did it. And I actually, when you watch the film, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm interested. What I really think is that it really should be a feature film, because it seems like it could be so expounded on in so many ways, whether it's animation or practical effects. There's so many ways to go with it, but I just feel like I hope that somebody sees this film and jumps on it, because it is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, no, I generally don't like talk about the review and the interview part, but I do agree with you. I wish that this was a longer concept, because I feel like
Yeah,
it had
right.
such a great start, and it feels like they could flesh out more about what this thing is and like how it's affecting you, and they could draw out the like really fun horror parts a little bit longer.
Exactly.
I imagine they probably just didn't have the budget for it and didn't have the time. Like it's the curse of an indie film, especially an indie short. But I do really love this concept, like you said, and I think it would be a really interesting like big horror film. And with what they did, I think they had a really good job of like having this slow build up, having this like sense of dread that kind of builds and builds and builds towards the end. So.
And again, short cannot go for more than 15 minutes or whatever it is. It's limited in its time to a certain extent. And for a horror film, you want to keep the pace. Like the editing with here was really good, so that you want to see more rather than see less. And what was crazy for me is I was flown to England to shoot this. We shot it in a day, like for me, like a day or so. Like it was just so fast, and it was exhausting. And I remember thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to bring from 0 to 100? 200 in this film, and in one, basically a day and a half or day, like just it was so exhausting, and also at the same time exhilarating. And I loved working with English actors. We had such a good time. And it was my favorite story of this is when I was working with Carolyn Pickles, who has been in the Harry Potter movies. Like she was Harry Potter 7, I think.
Severus, please. We're friends.
We had a scene together, and it was she's so sweet. We're meeting for the first time, and I'm talking like this, and she's talking like this, and we come together, and I want to talk like this, and she wants to talk like this. And it was so funny.
Sinead, you're my oldest friend. I'm always going to be there for you. Just now I feel I'm kind of stuck with you.
Be like that.
We'd be like, cut. Okay, so we have to get our voices. Stay there. Don't go into the other person's voice. But when you get actors together, oh my gosh, I mean, you want to do their voice. You want to match them. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. I've never had that experience where I really had to keep my focus with my voice and not, just join her and her as well with me. So we laughed and we had a great time together, working together. She's a lovely actress, lovely person. And the great thing about working with real professionals, obviously, is that from the get-go, you take chances. So as an actor, when you're working sometimes with people who are not that confident, or maybe they're a little more timid, they don't necessarily give their all right away. And because she is so lovely and professional, we were able to create this relationship very quickly, that you feel like we've known each other forever.
No, that's an awesome. Like I love everything about that story. Now it just makes me want like a full release, so I can see these outtakes of you and her like exchanging your accents, like slowly switching places.
We do it in English British version, and we do it in American version.
I was gonna say, like, it's a shame you only got one day to film, because you didn't get to like pick up all the British accents, but it sounds like you just kind of naturally picked it up because of your experience and because of kind of like how you've been trained.
But it was fascinating. This is the first film I've ever been in, certainly, and I don't know if there's a lot of films that are like this where the different nationalities are speaking, aside from, let's say, like somebody coming in and playing bad guy and saying, I am bad guy in the Russian, and like this, suddenly coming in and the dialect is so different. But here are two besties. And you're talking, very intimate, and yes, I'm very intimate, but I'm not very intimate, right? So it's very different, because I guess enemies can play opposite dialects, but best friends, you hardly ever sometimes hear that.
How do you prepare differently for a short than for a feature film? But it sounds like from your description, it's just quick. Like you can't prepare. You just jump in and do it because there's just no time.
I am very, very glad you said that. It is different. Feature films, because back in the day, back in the 80s, you had a lot of time.
No way. Yes way.
You had months to work on something, maybe sometimes too much time because you overthink things. Sometimes, if you're fortunate, you have a director who wants to work with you and go over the scenes and stuff. And sometimes you'll have directors who will say, listen, I don't want to do any rehearsal. Let's just take it in the moment. Whatever happens will be organic, And people work differently. When I do a film, usually I visualize how I see the character. I try to show the director what my idea is. Most of the time I'm like, okay, listen, I'm just going to do my thing. And then if there's anything you want to adjust, then take it from there, because it's a performance. So you can't cognitively go there before the moment happens, because that's not organic, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And all the, cameras and the lights they're all prepared to sort of watch what you do so that they can kind of get an idea of what you're doing. So, yes. So this is what happened with this film. I had an idea of how I saw my character, Sinead. It was really more about how much time was going to pass during this film so that I could develop the fear. So at the beginning, when I first thought of the character, I thought, okay, I'm seeing these things, and to me, I build a character. So it's the level of tension is going to grow. So in my mind, when I see a script, I look at it and go, okay, so I want to take it from 0 to 100, and or 0 to 60, depending on what car you're driving. And I want to take it at the beginning. And so I want to give it a nice, simple start and then build on that. And the thing I don't know when you have a short is you got less time. So you really have less time to make it organic, because look, let's face it, if somebody is in a situation, in the beginning, and then suddenly their arc happens too quickly, you're not going to believe them. It's just not going to be real. And then it ruins everything. So that was my main concern about doing this, is how do I get this to be an organic flow where she's comfortable, a little more nervous, a little more panicked, a little more upset. Oh, there's something going on. And so I had to leave that, again, in the moment. I didn't know how they were going to shoot it. I didn't know how many scenes they necessarily were going to use or cut. So I just tried to give them a variety. You'll see in a very short amount of time, I have a lot of different emotion. Now, the interesting part is when we got to the end of the film, or almost the end, and I had this scene, that's when I said, okay, guys, I'm about to do something. You just keep filming, because I'm going to just let it go. And we're going to experiment, and we're going to do something that has never been done before. That really is what my idea, because look, if you go to a horror film and you see something you've seen before, then why would you go see it again? It's been done already. So let's bring something new. So I always try to surprise my audience. This time, so I started doing this thing. I'm not going to say what it is. It just came out of the moment, and I had not planned it, but it was out of the emotion and the feeling of the story. And then we also did some shots where I thought, wait, what about this shot? Let's do this during this moment. And Aaron and Stuart and everybody was like, oh yeah, that's great. Keep doing that. Let's do this. And they moved the camera and they tried to this angle and stuff. And oh, it was so artistic, so creative. It was again, something that they didn't plan. They didn't know it was going to happen, but it was the combination of all of us coming together to create literally this piece of art.
Awesome. One more.
Are you okay? if you with your left hand, Camille, hold your hand, then you won't fall back.
Oh yeah. No, actually, I'm pretty good. To me, the creative process in the moment with so many people is art. It's beautiful. Because look, if you're one person and you do something by yourself, that is amazing and incredible. But the idea of so many people coming together and doing it is, to me, like magic. What's so exciting as a performer, as an actor, is like you're in there and then everybody's doing their job to the top of their ability. And that is such an exciting experience. Like you're doing your thing, nobody's stopping you or saying, oh, this isn't working, or I don't have the angle, or oh no, the lighting's wrong, or, or gosh, look, you forgot a word, we have to fix that word. It's like, no, like everyone's into it. And I always believe that my editors, whoever they are gonna have fun. I want to give them stuff to cut to. I want to give them something to go, wait, I really like this piece, let's put it with that. So I'm thinking that the editor had a really good time with this.
So the film is premiering at the Los Angeles International Film Festival later this month, early next month. You are kind of out promoting it. I'm sure you have plenty of other projects. You already talked about a couple of them, but after people see you in Pareidolia, when it finally comes to America, what can they look for next from you? What else do you have on the horizon?
Boy, it's really, I'm so fortunate. I did a series, but that will be out next year. It's called Riding Free. And then I have another film. I have a film out next year, an indie. And get ready. It's called, are you ready for this? I love this title, Vampire.
Oh.
Why is it called Vampire? Well, let's just say if you took Bambi and made her a vampire.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
So it's out there. It's trippy.
I'm intrigued. All right.
I was so excited. It's a comedy. It's a horror comedy. So I'm very excited that I have that movie coming out next year too. So I got some things coming out, which is good.
That's awesome. And I love that you are staying in the horror genre. I know you've kind of like jumped in and out of horror throughout, but I do like seeing the kind of like focus on horror in your career right now, because it's always fun to see you on screen. It's always fun to kind of like see what new ideas you'll bring to the world. So
thank you. And I'm so glad you, with Waking Nightmare, again, that role, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to just bring that up again. Please check it out. It's on Tubi, but I think you will not be disappointed. I'm very different in the film, wouldn't you say?
Very, very different. Very,
as well as Pareidolia. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Which is nice. It's nice to see you be able to like play other characters in your roles and then come back to sweet, generous Diane.
Yay!
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. This is Diane Franklin, the star of the short film Pareidolia, which is premiering later in Britain, I guess, later this month, and then is coming to America on the Los Angeles International Film Festival sometime between October 30th and November 5th. Definitely, if you're in the area, check it out. She has a really great performance. It is a fun, kind of like slow building horror movie, and it does have some interesting ideas. I think some that you really haven't seen in horror before. So thank you so much for talking to me. Thanks so much for your time.
Most excellent. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Aaron Truss from Cumber Films here. If you enjoyed that, hit the subscribe button or just like us, because we'll just keep making films. It's okay, I'll wait until you've done it. I'm not actually going to go anywhere, I'm just going to wait until you've clicked that button.